It was announced Bomberman would be getting an official board game. Announced by who? Well, on April 12th, 2019, this was posted to the Bomberman subreddit. Unfortunately, that Reddit account has been deleted, but it seems somebody is making a Bomberman board game. One day later, multiple outlets said Contra and Bomberman were getting a board game, all stating the publisher got a license from Konami Cross Media New York. A few days later, TowerGuardGames Instagram released a trailer for the game. Coming to tabletop for the first time. Alright, I gotta pull an actually here and mention that there was an official Bomberman board game tied to the Beat'em Bakugaiden manga and anime. I guess only ambiguously Bomberman since it is a spin-off of a spin-off of a spin-off. Here is a Bomberman Fukuwarai if you count it, as well as a few card games like this one based off Super Bomberman and the Jetters trading card game. This would certainly be the first one to actually play like a Bomberman battle game, roughly how you'd expect Bomberman as a board game to play, instead of being a spin-off. Designed by this dude, known also by TowerGuardGames, to be published by IDW Games. But was there any acknowledgement of this from Konami itself? The official English Bomberman Twitter didn't exist at the time. All Bomberman announcements were from the Konami Twitter account. But even so, Konami never acknowledged this board game on their Twitter. They have some tweets for this Metal Gear game, but not the Bomberman one. Was this ever official? I mean, IDW was a legitimate company. Surely they wouldn't commission this box art if it weren't for any paperwork from Konami to back up the license. I kept digging and... Facebook, the official Bomberman Facebook page that goes back to before the acquisition of Hudson by Konami. On April 22nd, 2020, the Bomberman Facebook page announced they were one step closer, repeating the text from the TowerGuardGames Twitter and linking to the tweet. That Twitter account is deleted, so it's blank now, but here's an older screenshot. Why would Konami announce this on the Bomberman Facebook page, but nowhere else? Normally, PR teams should be given roughly the same things to announce on all platforms, right? Well, regardless, the game was cancelled. I seem to recall statements that Konami just ghosted the designer, but can't quite back this up. IDW Games shut down around 2021, so that certainly doesn't help. Regardless of why, the game is cancelled, and now the creator is left sitting on the design. So, free mod for Tabletop Sim. This version of the mod seems to be inaccessible now, but I still have this old footage. Eventually, the designer decided to try and publish this as its own thing. So here we have Just Blast Tactics, featuring non-copyrightable Boom Robot. I'll say here, it is very typical for Western designers to make Bomberman more robotic, crazed 90s punk. I'm not a fan of this direction, but I won't be holding it against the game. I'll just use it as another reason to be angry at Konami that we never got this. The Tabletop Sim mod has been updated to this new design, hence why the old one seems to be gone. Eventually, he found a place to publish the game, and on February 18th, 2022, the board game was officially launched, and here it is. Let's have a look. The way it is currently being sold, the game comes with a few plastic bags that can hold all the pieces, and the parts of the board and the cards. It should be said, the current manufacturer laser cuts the pieces. As a result, when you pop them out, the edges are going to be covered in soot, so you're going to need to spend some time wiping the soot off. Once that's done, we have ourselves a game. Every instance of the word Bomberman in the manual has been replaced with Bonbon. Except for right here, the word Bomberman still appears. Did he forget this one? I hope he doesn't get sued. The current version of the TTS mod has that instance fixed to Bonbon, so I think any further prints of the game should have that fixed, meaning I am now the proud owner of one of the few early manuals that still has the word Bomberman in it. Then again, the TTS mod still has the discard phase in the rulebook, so I'm not sure which one is more up to date. Alright, so these dudes are bonbons, and they have bombs in their respective colors. Except for the purple one that uses blue bombs for some reason. We got our pieces of the battle stage, some variation in how we can set it up. Hard blocks are there, soft blocks with power-ups under them, optional stage gimmicks, and item cards. Now, how does it work? The closest comparison to make within the Bomberman series is, as mentioned in the past, Bomberman Wars, the tactics game. Main difference being, of course, that we have only one character instead of 5, but they still function very similarly. We can still only move in one direction per move. Difference being, instead of a movement stat and a placing range for bombs, these dudes have unlimited movement range in one direction, making them like a rook in chess, as the manual describes, and bombs can only be placed anywhere under your travel path. Wars blocks you from going through other characters, while Blast Tactics allows you to pass through, much like normal Bomberman. Going around a corner always takes 2 moves. This makes bombing a block for a power-up a more involved process in both games, since you gotta place a bomb, get out of the way around a corner, wait for it to explode, go around a corner again to pick it up. It makes power-ups a bit less important in both than they are in normal Bomberman games, a bit less so in Blast Tactics since you can move twice in a turn, but both games have a different mechanic to fill that gap. Wars with its character abilities and Blast Tactics with its item cards. The bomb fuse length is also very similar. In Wars, barring any shenanigans with abilities that change the counter, if you place a bomb on your first turn, it will explode on your 3rd turn. And in Blast Tactics, barring any shenanigans with the fast detonate, if you place a bomb on your first turn, it will explode on your 3rd turn. The difference being, in Wars it explodes at the end of your 3rd turn. In Blast Tactics, it explodes at the beginning of your 3rd turn, as in before you can move. In Wars, you are the last one to act before it explodes, so you use your bombs to set up attacks. In Blast Tactics, your opponents are the last ones to act before your bomb explodes, so they try to use your own bombs against you. Consequently, you try to use your opponent's bombs against them, more so than trying to set up traps from scratch. Overall, what this results in is, on the grand strategy plan ahead versus moment-to-moment react to the field's tactics scale, both lean more towards tactics. In Wars, you can strategize a bit more with all the characters and their abilities. Blast Tactics has some strategizing with gathering item cards to use later, but leans more into the tactics side than Wars does. Let's set up a game. There are suggestions for how to lay out the board at the start, but the rules encourage you to set them up any way you want. There's different tiles, and you can set up soft blocks anywhere, so go wild and be creative with the setup. Each player starts with 2 bombs, up to a maximum of 5, although there are 6 bomb tokens for each player, and bombs start with 2 flame range. Everyone also starts with 1 heart, so you actually can take 1 hit and survive. Second hit will kill you. Shuffle the cards, shuffle the overtime card near the bottom of the item deck, lay 2 cards out, and you're ready to go. On every turn, fill the open cards up to 2, and you have 2 actions. An action is either moving, which includes placing bombs anywhere along your path, or taking a card. You can do this in any combination. Move twice, or take 2 cards, or move and take 1 card, and so on. Place a bomb and it will sit there until your next turn, upon which you will flip your bomb before moving, and on your next turn after that, it explodes, hurting players it hits, setting off other bombs it hits, burning soft blocks to reveal a power-up, or burning power-ups if they're already uncovered. Then the bomb returns to your stockpile. There are 3 power-ups, roughly based on Bomb Up, Fire Up, and Skates in Bomberman. Bomb Up increases your bomb count. The old version had normal fire up, but this version only has full fire, so be careful using it. It brings your flame range to the max, which means the entire length of the arena. In lieu of a speed up, there is extra action. Take this into your inventory, use it immediately, or keep hold of it for later. You can expend it for an extra action, which can be either moving or taking a card. Collect a bunch of these over the course of a game, and then near the end you can potentially have one turn where you burn through all of them, while moving all over the place and trapping everyone. If you take a hit, flip your heart and it will become an extra action, except that this one is permanent. From now on, you have a base of 3 actions every turn, but you die on your next hit. Item cards in the old version had this rule where you had to use them immediately and also were punished for not using them because the next player would get one for free without expending an action, and you had to discard at least 1 card every turn. The overtime phase is dependent on going through cards, so this was likely intended to make sure you actually get to that phase, but it was kinda finicky. This is now changed. Now, theoretically, if nobody takes item cards, you will never reach the overtime phase, but realistically this is unlikely, as item cards are crucial to this game. They roughly equate to kick, throwing glove, punching gloves, remote control, and wall/bomb through. But unlike in normal Bomberman, they are single-use items. Instead of picking up a kick and then being able to kick all the time, you pick up a kick item and hold onto it until you need it for 1 kick and then discard. The fast detonate can make a fresh bomb go flipped, or make an already flipped bomb explode. You can't use it to detonate a bomb you just placed that turn. World Wrap applies, so use your bomb cannon and push to move bombs around to the other side of the map for some surprise bomb chains. Taking a card expends an action, using it does not, meaning you can collect a bunch of cards throughout the game and burn through them all in 1 turn later for some big play moves, though you have a maximum of 3 cards you can hold on to. Once the overtime card is uncovered from the deck, the overtime phase starts, equivalent of the hurry up phase. Slowly, you start flipping parts of the board, destroying everything that was on that tile until the entire arena is destroyed. This absolutely succeeds in making things more hectic towards the end. Optional rules include provisions for teleport pads, conveyor belts, cracked floors that are destroyed if a bomb explodes on top of them, making any players on top of it get eliminated immediately, holes that can be put on top of hard blocks that players still can't move through but bomb flames will be let through, power-up pads that will damage the entire arena except people on other power-up pads, and a revenge mode that allows dead players to throw bombs in from the outside, allowing them to get back in the game if their bomb kills someone. Think it's too basic and want to play with more of the other common Bomberman power-ups like Line Bomb and Shield? It's easy to get some cardboard and make your own custom pieces to add to the game and have your own house rules for them. Make it as complicated as you want it to be. The pieces and setup are pretty simple and variable, lending itself well to that kind of stuff. Overall, the game succeeds in exactly what it is trying to do. Bomberman Battle, but as a board game. All the most important elements are here. It plays out more slow and reserved at the start, but gets really stressful near the end. It has a bit more of a luck element to it than normal Bomberman. You might think you have someone cornered, but if they get access to the right item card at the right moment, they can escape and turn the tables on you. Of course, there are ways of planning around this to an extent. If I wanted to be really pedantic and have something to gripe about, I could say it doesn't innovate all that much. It doesn't have too much of its own, but it really doesn't need to. Yeah, the Bakugaiden game nobody cares about exists, but there has not been an actual Bomberman Battle game as a board game, not one that is commercially available. It has elements similar to Bomberman Wars, and I compare them because I'm me. Don't think for 1 second that I'm saying the designer is copying Wars or something. That's just similar circumstances leading to similar choices. The game was designed before either of these videos. I doubt the designer knew Bomberman Wars existed when putting this together, but I would be curious to know. I have been bringing this to some board game meetups, and the results are surprising. Bomberman, while simple on the surface, can be very difficult to pick up. There is a lot of nuance to proper bomb placement, positioning, paying attention to the whole arena. It has more moving parts than you think, and new players often struggle with this. Not so much with this game, though. This is turn-based Bomberman in slow motion. New players see everything that's happening and understand why others move in certain ways and pick up on things pretty quickly. Already on the second game I play with newcomers, they start giving me a run for my money. In Bomberman, you can place a short-range bomb in the way of a long-range bomb to shield yourself from it. Bomberman Blitz's tutorial teaches you this. This is extremely situational and not something you'd immediately think to do. And yet, I got to witness somebody doing this in Blast Tactics. This new player, despite never having played Bomberman in her life, put 2 and 2 together all on her own, put a short-range bomb right here to shield herself from a long-range bomb, and create a safe zone for herself while still attacking others. Makes me wonder how well this board game could serve as a way for new players to learn normal Bomberman. I've yet to explore this more, though. There are a few unclear rules we've run into. Can you use 2 fast detonates to make a bomb explode on the same turn you placed it? Probably yes, but the rules at the end leave some room for interpretation. Can you choose to idle and do nothing as your action? Can you use a phase shift to go through a power-up without picking it up? Does the max fire increase the range of bombs you've already placed? The answer is yes, the guy told me back for the old TTS mod, but the rulebook doesn't specify, so I have had some debates about this, especially since most Bomberman games don't operate like this. Pick a bomb up with a bomb cannon and you can hold onto it and throw it at any time. Does that include other players' turns, or during other phases of your subsequent turns outside the action phase? Probably not, but that has been another stumbling block. Kickstop is in the rulebook, but not on the card. Not a big problem. I imagine there just wasn't enough room on the card for this, but that has also led to some minor disagreement. Does revenge mode stop when the overtime phase starts, as is the case in normal Bomberman? It's an optional rule, so really not that important. It's easy to just make an executive decision when playing. As for what this game needs, well, really it needs to be tied to the Bomberman brand, but that isn't happening. Short of that, the other option is Dynablaster? The Dynablaster one-word trademark is on shaky ground, but that hasn't stopped BBG from licensing it out to other companies. Spree here made an officially licensed Dynablaster VR game. If this was called Dynablaster, it would have some amount of brand recognition in Europe. The downside being the looming threat that Konami could actually start caring about their brand and take this to court. And of course the fact that it would be tied to Tommy Tallarico in some way. Short of Dynablaster, there is also Atomic Punk? The even shorter-lived alternate name for Bomberman in North America. The trademark seems to be up for grabs, and Konami isn't doing anything to take down Dynablaster, so I guess that's another possibility? Look, I'm not an artist or a designer. I wish I could offer more feedback, but really I don't know what else to do with this. Overall, do I recommend this? Yes. Yes, I do. Go buy it right now. Newcomers and Bomberman veterans alike. Also, the designer is going to have a Kickstarter pretty soon. That's something to look out for. The guys on Blue Sky and YouTube, go check those out. So to all of you, I say go buy this, and to the designer, good job and best of luck there, buddy.